Attorneys are very risk-averse people in general, right? Fortunately, we got, there was just some very minor hiccups, and I think we're almost to the finish line here.
This can be a pretty straightforward process that really doesn't take more than a month or two to get the money into the estate. It might take, 6 to 9 months to get it out, but at least you have the confidence then of knowing you as the party in charge of this, the one that is accountable to your siblings or your family. It's all taken care of. You're just waiting for those checks to get freed up.
Definitely. So what made you decide to be a probate attorney? Like where did that come from, right?
Yeah, really by chance. So I started out as a tax attorney. I loved that. And then my mom was working with what's called elder law, which is helping people plan to protect their assets as they age, so that not only from scams, but government, being qualified for different kind of subsidies and programs like that, and then ultimately skipping probate. And I got into that with her. We grew the practice for a couple of years and loved it. And people were just coming to us where they'd done their planning, but maybe their sister hadn't. Maybe they'd done their planning, but their parents hadn't, and asking us to do probate. And what we found was, I wasn't necessarily enthusiastic about it back then, so we'd refer it out, and people would just scalp the executors. I mean, just fees that were ridiculous, or even worse in my mind, you'd refer it out, somebody would quote a low fee, and it would be so low that they wouldn't even put their bar number on the petition. It was like you would go to a consult with this attorney's office. They would help you fill out the form, but they had no liability. And then you go file this thing, the court would kick it back for maybe some small error. And then whenever you went back to the person that didn't put their bar number on it, they're like, well, now it's 10 grand. And you're like, what?
Yep. You and I, we were talking about this offline. I'm trying to get a deal closed, and a few weeks ago, right before closing, the title underwriter found some issue with the probate letters, and it turns out it was the same situation that you just described. This lady had gone to an attorney, thought this attorney was helping her do the probate, but his name, which actually, fortunately, his name was not on the petition, so we didn't actually have to go back to him to actually fix the issues. She was able to go in there and do it herself, because then that would have added a couple weeks. He would have had to, recuse himself from the case and all that, right?
But the bigger thing is, if his name was on it, it would have been done right, because the judge can call the attorney in for what's called a mismanagement hearing if something's wrong. So if I put my name on a petition and there's something wrong with it, I got a big problem. I better make sure that thing's right before it leaves my office, before it gets filed. Luckily, in this case, the client that you're working with had you as a resource who does this, a lot. You knew how to guide her. You had friends and people in the industry that can give her the guidance to get this right. But if she didn't have you, she's like, oh my God, now I got to go find another attorney. I'm mad at the one I already had, so I don't want to go back to him. Now I gotta go take a gamble and try another one from scratch. And most attorneys are really hesitant to pick up things mid-process.
Right.
So if another attorney started it, you got to worry about finishing it, because now I'm almost liable for if that attorney was dumb. And that's scary to me.
Oh, for sure. Well, and attorneys are very risk-averse people in general, right? So, yeah, I agree with you there. And that, fortunately, we got, there was just some very minor hiccups, and I think we're almost to the finish line here.